We're hitting on 69% of our college basketball bets, and I've got three more that you need to take today. Conference tournaments, they finally are starting. It's going to be an insane week of college basketball. We're going to be ripping through games. There's going to be so many that we're going to be able to pick from. This Tuesday doesn't have a super exciting slate, but we do have three decent matchups in the ACC and in the Big 12. We're not going to do a scoreboard check-in because as we do on these Monday night tapings going in Tuesday, we don't have the results just yet from our Monday bets, but just a quick reiteration, we are 22-10 in college basketball since we started betting on it after the NFL season was over, as well as 29-16-1 overall. First game, Pitt favored -4.5 against Notre Dame. We're going to take Notre Dame +4.5. Big Notre Dame fan for football. It was a great season this year. College basketball, not so much. We're doing well in recruiting, but more importantly, this year, Notre Dame has already beaten Pitt this season on February 22nd, fairly recently. They beat them 76-72. This game against Pitt as well, Notre Dame has an edge in a number of key categories. One, they're 8-5-1 as an underdog this season. They are pretty strong and consistent at covering when they are a dog. That is notable. But what are we always looking for when we talk about these bets? And one of the things that I've leaned into is three-point shooting and rebounding and just general shooting consistency. Notre Dame is 164th in total rebounds, while Pitt is just 247 in the country. So there is a massive gap in quality of rebounding between these two teams. Notre Dame is 67th three-point shooting. Pitt is 107. Just enough of a gap for us to feel pretty good about Notre Dame shooting in this matchup. And then lastly, Notre Dame is 109th in shooting percentage. Pitt is 126th. So Notre Dame, having already beaten them this one time that they faced off very recently, makes me feel like they can cover here at least that 4.5 point margin. Maybe it ends up being super close. Notre Dame ends up losing. And when they're fouling and sending Pitt to the line, they're just able to sneak their way out by covering. Second game, UCF versus Utah. Utah is favored -1.5, and we're going to take Utah 1.5 to cover here against UCF. There are a lot of, and by the way, both these teams, situational trends, they're very similar. They're both below average at covering. There was really not anything to latch on to, but we can look at the quality of these two teams, and there's a lot of reasons why we like Utah. Utah is 11th in the country in rebounding, while UCF is just 74th. Utah is 156th in shooting percentage this season, and UCF is only 301st. And then lastly, Utah is 163rd in shooting efficiency, while UCF is 217th. Utah has not exactly been a super competitive team in the Big 12 this year, but more importantly, UCF has not done anything. UCF does not do anything exceptionally well enough for me to feel good about them in this game against UCF in what is a pick'em spot. Give me Utah. They're going to cover that 1.5. And then lastly, Arizona State versus Kansas State. Kansas State is favored by 5.5 points, and we are going to take Arizona State to cover +5.5. Both these teams not very good at rebounding, but what I found very interesting, there is a lot of disparity between the production, the shooting production between these two teams. Arizona State is 68th in the country in three-point shooting. Kansas State is 224th. Arizona State is 132nd in shooting efficiency. Kansas State is 211th. Understandably, Arizona State is not a great defensive team, and that's where a little bit of a cause of concern is here. But for that 5.5 point spread, it makes me feel good knowing that if this got into a late game situation, Arizona State needed to scrap their way back into it to at least close the margin within 5 points, that they could do so by taking some threes, by taking a couple of deep shots. Kansas State has been the better team this year. They're probably going to win this game, but it's just enough for us to latch onto and to believe that Arizona State could cover that 5.5 point spread. Folks, let me know in the comments, who are you picking today? Hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.